So we're continuing to do adding and subtracting algebraic fractions today, and these examples are going to be slightly trickier than last lesson. So let's look at this first example. Here we've got x plus 2 over 3 add x plus 1 over 4. So notice these are slightly different than last time, as we have an addition on top of both our fractions. So we need to first follow the same steps as we would for adding standard fractions and in the previous example, in that we are going to find the common denominator for both of these fractions, because the only way we can add or subtract fractions is if we have our common denominator. So to do that, we are thinking about 3 and our 4 times table and getting the lowest common multiple of those, which is 12. So we're going to create our two fractions, and they're both going to be over 12. Okay, so once we know that, we now need to figure out what our numerators are going to be. So because we have changed that 3 to become a 12 by timesing by 4, that means we need to do the same to the top. But notice we are timesing x plus 2 all by 4. So to make sure that we don't miss anything out, I'm going to get into the habit of putting brackets around any expressions we have in fractions. So that means I'm going to times 4 by this entire bracket. So I'm going to have 4 bracket x plus 2. And then for the second fraction, I've times that 4 by 3 to get 12, meaning I'm going to times this other bracket by 3 as the numerator. So in the next fraction, I will have 3 bracket x plus 1 all squared. And now we can go ahead and add these together. And because we've got the same denominator, we can add. So on the top of our fraction, we will have 4 bracket x plus 2 plus 3 bracket x plus 1. And this has all been as a fraction over 12. But we can't leave our answer like this. We need to expand our brackets and simplify. So we're going to expand the brackets by multiplying everything on the inside of the bracket by the term on the outside. So 4 times x gives us 4x. 4 times 2 gives us 8. And then we've got plus 3 times x to give us plus 3x. And then 3 times 1 to give us plus 3. And this is all over 12. And our very last step, we're going to be collecting like terms to get our final answer. So to do that, we have our 4x plus 3x and then our 8 plus 3. So 4x plus 3x is 7x and 8 plus 3 is 11. So 7x plus 11 over 12. And that is our final answer. Okay, so we are just following the same steps, but if you ever have an expression in your fraction, I would definitely get into the habit of putting brackets round your expression. So here we've got x plus 2, popped bracket round it, so we don't forget any terms when we have to multiply that entire expression by 4 or by 3. So using this example to help you, can you pause the video here and try this question? So x plus 2 over 2 plus x plus 3 over 3. Okay, let's go over this answer. So we have got our 2 and 3 on the bottom of our fraction, so we need a common denominator. So we're going to change both fractions to have 6 on the bottom because that is the lowest common multiple. Okay, and then to change the first fraction, 2 to a 6, we have times that by 3. So whatever we do to the bottom, I'm going to pop brackets round those expressions just to keep ourselves right. We're going to times that first bracket by 3 to get 3 bracket x plus 2. And then I've times that 3 by 2 to get 6. So I need to times that entire bracket by 2 as well. So 2 bracket x plus 3. Okay, and once we've done that, we can then go ahead and write it out as an entire fraction. So 3 bracket x plus 2 plus 2 bracket x plus 3. and this is all over 6. Once we've got that, we now need to multiply out our brackets. So multiply out brackets. Okay, to get 3x plus 6, so 3 times x gives us 3x, 3 times 2 gives us 6, plus 2 times x to get 2x, then 2 times 3 to give us 6, all over 6. And now we need to collect like terms on the numerator. So collecting like terms, we've got 3x plus 2x to give us 5x, 6 plus 6 to give us 12, all over 6. And that's your final answer. So well done if you got that. So example 2. This time we've got y plus 2 over 2 subtract y plus 1 over 3. So before we start, I'm going to pop brackets round these expressions just to keep ourselves right. And now 2 and 3, we've got a lowest common multiple of 6. So first bracket over 6, subtract second bracket over 6. How have I changed that 2 to become a 6 on the first fraction? We'll times it by 3, meaning I have to times the first fraction by 3. And then how have I changed, or let's do this bit first, sorry, so 3 times that whole bracket, y plus 2. And then I've times that 3 by 2 to get 6, meaning I need to times this by 2 to get 6. So 2 bracket y plus 1. Once we've got that, we can just go ahead and subtract these. So 3 bracket y plus 2 subtract 2 bracket y plus 1 all over 6. And now we can go ahead and multiply out. So 3 times y is 3y, 3 times 2 is 6. We've got negative 2 times y to give us negative 2y, and then negative 2 times 1 to give us negative 2. So be careful here. Remember, if that sign here was, let's see, if this sign here was a negative, then negative times a negative would become a positive. So be careful there. But in this case, we've just got a negative, and this is over 6. And once we've got that, we can go ahead and simplify. So 3y subtract 2y to give us just y, and then 6 subtract 2 to give us plus 4 all over 6. And that's your final answer for that one. Okay, so this example is just drawing your attention to the fact that this is a subtract, and you need to take that into consideration when you're expanding that final bracket. So with that in mind, can you pause the video here and try this question? Okay, hopefully you've unpaused. Let's give this one a go. So our common denominator, 3 and 4, is the lowest common multiple is 12. So we're going to have both our fractions over 12. And then we need to calculate or figure out our numerators. So 3 to become 12, we've times it by 4. Whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. I'm going to add in those brackets just to keep ourselves right. And so 4 times that entire bracket, I'm going to write it out like this. And then I've times that 4 by 3 to get 12, which means I need to times that first bracket by 3. And once we've got to this stage, we can go ahead and start subtracting and then expanding our brackets. Okay, so expand the first one, so you should have 4y subtract 4, subtract 3y, subtract 6, all over 12. And then 4y subtract 3 is just y. Then you've got negative 4 subtract 6 gives you negative 10. So be careful with your integer skills here. So you should have y subtract 10 over 12. Okay, let's do another example. So this time we have 2x plus 1 over 3 subtract x negative x subtract 1 over 2. So you might notice here we've got a negative subtraction and then a negative inside these brackets that I'm about to draw in. So we're going to pop those brackets in just to keep ourselves right. And now 3 and 2, we've had this one before, lowest common multiple is 6. So I'm going to have 6 here. And then how have I changed that 3 to become a 6? Well, I've times it by 2. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top to get 2x plus 1. And then I've changed that 2 to become a 6 by timesing by 3, meaning I need to times the top by 3, get 3x subtract 1. I am going to show you this just by missing out one step, so it's one less step of working. So if I just go, if I go back, I'll show you that this step here, this is what step I'm going to miss out. I'm going to go straight from this line of working to our expanded brackets, but we really need to be careful with our negatives if we are choosing to do this. So at this point, we're going to subtract these and write them out as a fraction. So we have 2 times 2x gives us 4x, 2 times 1 to give us 2, and plus 2. And this time I have negative 3 times x, so I'm taking into consideration this negative. So negative 3 times x to give us negative 3x, and then negative 3 times negative 1 gives me plus 3, and this is all over 6. And once we've got that, we can go ahead and collect like terms. So we've got 4x subtract 3 is x, then 2 plus 3 is 5 over 6. And that's that final answer. If you're not comfortable missing out that step, then just put it in as normal, keep yourself right, that is absolutely fine. So using this example again to help you, watching out for your double negatives, can you give this one a go please? Okay, let's go over this one. So our lowest common multiple between 4 and 5 is 20, meaning we're going to have two fractions, over 20. So our first fraction, let's think about our numerator, putting brackets around there. So I've changed that 4 to 20 by timesing by 5, meaning I need to times this first bracket by 5. And then I've times the second fraction by 4 to get 20 on the bottom, meaning I need to times that first bracket by 4 as well. So now we can go ahead and subtract and also expand brackets if you're comfortable doing those two steps in the same step. So 5 times 2x, got 10x, 5 times 1 is plus 5, then I've got negative 4 times x, give me negative 4x, then negative 4 times negative 3 gives me plus 12, and this is all over 20. And then here I have 10x subtract 4x by collecting like terms to get 6x, and then 5 plus 12 to give us plus 17 over 20. So well done if you got that. Okay, so one more example. This time we have an expression on the bottom of our fraction, and this is definitely very, very important to put in your brackets around those expressions on the bottom of your fraction. So we're going to treat x plus 1 just as an algebraic term on its own. So x plus 1, and then the other bracket is a different term. So our lowest common multiple that we're going to use on the bottom, similar to an example that we did previously where we just had x and y on the bottom of our fractions, we're going to essentially times these two brackets together. So on the bottom of our bracket, we're going to change it to, our common denominator is going to be x plus 1, x subtract 2, plus other bracket, x plus 1, x subtract 2. So if we're treating those as individual terms, we're essentially just timesing them together to give us that expression. And now again, we're just thinking the same as we normally would. How have I changed this x plus 1 to become x plus 1, x subtract 2? Well, I've times it by x subtract 2. I've times it by that bracket, meaning I need to times the numerator by the same bracket, giving us 3 bracket x subtract 2. And then this other fraction, I've times it by x plus 1, meaning I need to times the numerator by x plus 1 as well, timesing it by the whole bracket, giving us x plus 1. You can write the 1 at the front of your bracket if you want to keep yourself right. So now we can go ahead to adding them together and also expanding brackets in the same line. So 3 times x gives us 3x, 3 times negative 2 gives us negative 6, then we've got a positive 1 times x, just give us plus x, and then a positive 1 times a positive 1 to give us plus 1, and this is all over those two brackets, x plus 1, x subtract 2, then we need to collect like terms, so 3x plus x gives us 4x, and then negative 6 add 1 gives us negative 5, all over x plus 1, x subtract 2, and you can just leave it like that. Okay, so if you just treat those brackets like an entire term, that's why it's really important to put the bracket around it at the start. So with that in mind, you pause the video here and answer this question. Okay, let's go over the answer for this one. So I'm going to start by putting brackets around our expressions on the bottom of our denominator. And our lowest common multiple is going to be by timesing these two brackets together. So we're going to have two fractions like this. And then we're starting to think about our numerators. So I've times this bottom fraction by x plus 1. Oops, so I need to times the top by x plus 1 to get 6 x plus 1. I've times the second fraction by x subtract 2. So I need to times the top by x subtract 2 to get 2 x subtract 2. Now we can go ahead and add these together and expand the brackets. So our numerator is going to be 6x plus 6 plus 2x subtract 4 all over, and then our two brackets. And then lastly, collecting like terms, so 6x plus 2x gives us 8x, and then 6 subtract 4 gives us plus 2 all over x subtract 2, x plus 1. And that is your final answer. So well done if you got that. So with that in mind, I would like you to now pause the video here and try these 4 questions. Okay, so let's go over the answers. So the first one, you should have 7y plus 10 over 12. And then you should have p subtract 11 over 6. And then 18b subtract 7 over 15. And the last one, 5x plus 6 over x subtract 3, x plus 4 in brackets. So well done if you got those.